What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 55 of the Alchemy Devlog. It's your pal Isaac here with the latest news from the team. In this episode, we're going to talk about Obojima, 5e updates, and the latest big things happening in the System Builder beta. I'll also take some time to sync up with our roadmap and share what we're working on next. I won't be answering any questions in this episode, but if you have a question of your own that you'd like me to answer in the future, you can find a link to a Google form where you can submit that question down below in the description. All right, let's dive in. First up, let's talk about Obojima. It just launched this week. Obojima Tales from the Tall Grass is a new campaign setting for 5e, full of whimsy and magical goodness. It's very, very much inspired by works from Studio Ghibli, some of my favorite movies, and games like The Legend of Zelda. And it's from our pals at 1985 Games, fellow Oregonians, I might add. So shout out to Oregon. It's a pretty cool place. Let's dive into a game. I'm going to go ahead and create a new game here. It's a 5th edition supplement, so I'll find it here under my 5th edition system. And we'll filter that down to just the Obojima goodness. One change that we made to the Quick Start modal in the past week is that it now applies the theme from your module to the game automatically. So you can see that it's applied it to this modal as well. But then when I actually launch my game, it's going to apply the Obojima theme to my game instead of the default 5th edition theme that we have. You can still select the 5th edition theme once you've created your game, but it will use the theme from your Quick Start now if that Quick Start comes from a universe with a theme. So just a nice little improvement to the game starting experience. So first off, Obojima is a 5th edition campaign setting. So everything that you know and love from 5th edition is here, but there are a few small changes to things on character sheets, and those are all things that we've accounted for in Alchemy. So let's go ahead and add a player here. We'll add a test account to this one. And I'm going to play them and take a look at what we have available here. So first off, you may notice that we have a new ancestry field. This has all the ancestries from the Obojima sourcebook, in addition to the 5th edition ancestries that are available here. And you can, of course, add your own custom ancestry as well. We also have a bunch of pre-mades for this. If you scroll down to the Obojima section, these are a bunch that Dan worked pretty hard on. I remember him going through all these and coming up with cool names for all of them and doing some cool stuff with all of these. So we have some really cool pre-mades just ready to rock. We'll go ahead and pick, let's pick Sammy. Let's pick Mew. An Oni Bloodline Sorcerer, that sounds fun. So 5th edition stuff. Pretty familiar sheet here. We do have the ancestry carrying through on this part of the sheet as well. Other new things for Obojima and actually for 5e, Tales of the Valiant, and Dark Matter, anything that's like 5e compatible on the system. We made some big changes to the sheet this week in order to support the Obojima launch and also just to kind of clean up some dusty corners with our 5e implementation. So I'll talk through some of those as I go through this sheet. The first one is that the tactical settings have been removed from the character tab here. So at the bottom, I no longer have my tactical stuff. And you may notice that the trackers tab is missing. So we consolidated this into the new mechanics tab here on the end of your 5th edition character sheet, where you can find all of your trackers. You can find your actions, which were not on the character sheet before. And then you can find the tactical settings down here at the bottom of that section of the sheet. I guess while we're here on the trackers panel, it's worth pointing out that we have a whole suite of new trackers as defaults for 5th edition characters. And this pre-made has some that are specific to this character in Obojima as well. But the new 5th edition ones are hit dice and conditions and death saves. So in addition to the standbys of HP and XP, you now have a quick tag picker tracker with all of the 5th edition conditions in it, in addition to some of the conditions from Obojima. Pacified is a new one from Obojima that's in here to pick from when you need to take a condition, and you can track your successful and failed death saving throws in your trackers as well. So those are available to any 5th edition character that gets created. We've gone through and updated all of the existing pre-made characters for 5th edition to make sure that those have those trackers as well. Shout out to Dan once again for doing all that awesome work. So anyway, that's the new mechanics tab, which is not just an Obojima thing. It is also for 5th edition and Tales of the Valiant and Dark Matter and anything else that is 5e-like or 5e explicitly on Alchemy. Good stuff. All right, back to Obojima. Over on the features tab, there's just a few new things here, mostly populating these drop downs. We've got different armor types. Well, not different armor types. We've got different weapon types for the Obojima characters. So we've got like boomerangs and boat oars. You can find all of those things populating these drop downs. Different tools like diver's armor already there, arcane detection kit, all of this good stuff, all here and ready to rock in this Obojima game. So that is pretty much it for Obojima. The enhanced edition comes with all kinds of really cool animated scenes like the one you're seeing here. These are original animated scenes that we've had commissioned based off of the artwork, the incredible artwork, I should say, from Obojima, and lots of cool stuff here, and the really cool dynamic soundtrack from the Alchemy Enhanced Edition as well. So that is Obojima and kind of a rapid fire update on some of those 5e changes that came through since last time. Definitely some cool stuff. If you're playing 5e on Alchemy, let us know what you think of the new changes. Oh, one more thing. While we're here at the Goodie Mart, I just remembered that we have the currencies for Obojima available on the character sheet as well. So if we go to the equipment tab of this character, we, instead of having copper and the standard sort of Forgotten Realms currencies here, we have the copper bud, the sea petal, and the gold flower available in the equipment tab, as well as on the equipment tab of the character sheet. So if we go over here, there's our copper bud, sea petal, and gold flower currencies specific to Obojima. So you may be noticing that this kind of does some cool stuff that some of our older 5e games did not take advantage of. And you're right, it's because we invested some more time in making this stuff possible, which means we can bring it back to some of the older 5e content on the platform. I know there's quite a few pieces of content out there for 5e that do not have things like the classes built in and different things like that. So this lays a lot of the plumbing that we needed to make that possible in different 5e supplements. So I think you can expect to see cool stuff like this coming to the older things as well. And we'll be making sure that those are made known in the changelogs for each of those modules. So keep your eyes peeled for more of that good stuff. Next up, let's dive into some really big new changes that we've rolled out to the System Builder beta. This is one of the final pieces that we need to bring the System Builder and Sheet Builder betas to the public in more of an open beta. We still have some more things to do, quite a few. We have actually a pretty decent sized list, but most of the things from here are smaller things. This was one of the last really big pieces of functionality that we needed. So let's jump into a Sheet Builder universe and try things out. I'm going to go ahead and create a new universe. We'll just call it Devlog 55, keep things organized. And we're going to go with a custom system here. Again, Devlog 55, very creative. And we'll jump into this universe. I'm going to jump to the system section here. And we have a new, well, let's create a sheet first. We'll create a player character sheet. We'll call it player, make it published. And let's add a few fields to it. I want specifically some attributes. So I'm going to take the smart attributes block and I'm going to give it just a couple attributes. We're going to go with strength, faith, agility, and vitality. We can choose if these show in the game now and choose how they display in the game. And let's go back out and add just a couple more things here. We'll add some default values for these. We'll just use 1 on each of them. And that will be our very simple player character sheet. All right, from here, let's jump into the new game tab. This is very exciting to us and should be very exciting to everyone else out there. This is the area of the system builder that is going to enable you to choose what panels are in the game experience for a given character sheet. So in this case, I have that player character sheet selected here, and it's showing me what the game layout is going to be. These are placeholders for right now. These are not interactive. It's just showing you that the top left game panels are going to be journal and notes, and the top right game panels, party, NPC, and watchers. And then the bottom left being skills, actions, equipment, and then the bottom right being trackers and handouts. So that if you think back to the game experience, that's sort of the panel layout of what you see in the game. And our intention here is to give you a way to rename these and rearrange them and turn them on or off for a given game and character sheet. So you can have things that you don't necessarily need for your character sheet disabled, and things that need to be renamed to fit your system can be renamed really easily through here. Let's take a look at skills as a good example of this. So if we pop open the skills panel, and well, I actually can't rename it right now. We can on our end, but on this account I can't. That's coming soon. You'll be able to rename it from skills to something else. But the very exciting part is you can define what actions happen for your attributes in this system by clicking Create Action. So I'm going to go ahead and create a simple dice roll here. We'll call this attribute check, and it will just be a d20 roll. And I won't select an attribute or skill on this. I don't think I have to, but if I do, I'll go back through and change that. So we'll save that. Now we've got our attribute check, custom dice roll on our skills. Cool. Let's go ahead and create another one we'll call it bonus. We'll make it a dice roll, and this one is going to roll 2d20. Great. So right now, this is the extent of what you can configure in the System Builder beta. This is available to the folks in the closed beta of this. You can define actions for your attributes right here, and you can turn on the skills panel in your game. So let's jump out and create a new game using this system. That one was called Devlog 55. There it is. We'll jump into this game. Since that was a player character sheet, I'm going to go ahead and add my test account. And then play them to create a player character sheet. And we've got our sheet with the ability or the attributes that I had defined of strength, faith, agility, and vitality. We're going to change these just a little bit. And now you can see that I have the skills panel over here in the bottom left corner of the screen, just as we would expect, given what we looked at in the games, the game settings tab earlier. And now I can right click on my skills in here and run those actions that I defined in my system configuration for the sheet. So I can make an attribute check using my strength, and I can mix in other dice as I see fit. And that's going to roll a d20 plus my strength value. So that's +1. If I do the same thing for this one, we'll do an attribute check. For faith, that should be +2. Indeed, 15 + 2 is 17. And we can make another check here using that second action we defined, the attribute bonus. We'll roll that one in, and that should roll 2d20, and there it is. There's no way to define, well, I guess you can define these using actions. So all the power of actions is available to you if you didn't want to use 2d20 added together plus the ability score, the attribute in this case. You could do that all through actions. This is just a silly little action that I put together to add 2d20 together. So that is the big new piece of game configuration in System Builder. And we're really excited for what this brings to the table in terms of building systems on Alchemy. It gives us a new place to start defining configuration for different panels. I think you can see that that is going to give us a cool space to start playing around with new things, to be able to define where those panels live in your game, what they're called, and expose additional configuration for all of these different parts of the gameplay experience for that character sheet. So very exciting stuff. If you're in the System Builder beta, the Sheet Builder beta, jump in and check it out. I'm sure you probably already have. I know we've been communicating these changes to the testers quite thoroughly. If you're not in that beta, you're probably very envious of these new things. Don't worry, we are working hard on making this available to everyone. I don't have an ETA on when this will be out to everybody yet, but as I mentioned at the start of this segment, this is one of the biggest pieces that we have left to make this possible. In a lot of the previous systems that we've released that are using System Builder, like Call of Cthulhu is a good example, we had to write custom code to make the skills panel work. And now, if we were to do Call of Cthulhu again, we could probably use this new skills configuration section to define all the actions we needed for the skills. We might have other stuff going on in there, but it's a start. For many systems, this will get you what you need to get skills and attributes rolling nicely. By the way, I should mention that this also works for skills. If I was to have skills on my character sheet, they would show up here as well, and I could define the actions for those skills. Let's actually just jump in and take a look at how that works. So I'm going to go back to the Sheet tab and open Edit mode for this sheet. And I'm going to grab a skills block and drop it right below my attributes and open up the configuration for this. We want to show this in the game experience, and we'll call it skills. I'm going to add a couple of skills here. We'll add acrobatics and brawling using those ability scores. And head on over to the game tab. And now we have a skills section where we can define actions for how those skills roll. We'll make these something a little more exciting, like a dice pool. We're going to mix and match here. We'll make a dice pool that uses D6 dice. And we'll count success on a 6 and a 5. I think I'm going out into the wilds here, so we'll see what happens with this. Doing things live with beta stuff. So I forgot to give that a name. I think it's here, but let's go in and give it a name of skill pool. There we go. Cool. And then let's jump back into our game and take a look. I'll probably have to set up a new character because I had created that one before I had modified the sheet. So let's just delete that really quickly and create a new character for my test player. Go ahead and play, and then we'll choose that player sheet again. And here's our skills. We're going to go with these values again, and 5 and 6 for the skills. And you can see these skills are showing up down here in my skills panel as well. And there's also a quick selector to change the attribute that goes along with that skill if I needed to. And we've got our skill pool on here as well, which here we go into the wilds with that one. That rolled 5 plus 3, 6, 8 d6 in a pool and counted my successes. I'm actually kind of surprised that this is my first time testing a dice pool on a skill here. So, you know, I'm going to hide my surprise that it's all working. So that's pretty rad. So yeah, anyway, that is the skills configuration in the new game settings tab of the System Builder. Really powerful stuff that is going to go a really long ways to build out the rest of our remaining systems. And as I said, one of the last big pieces that we need to get the System Builder beta out into the public. So that's that. All right, let's take a look at our roadmap and talk about what's coming up next. I actually don't have a ton to report on this roadmap itself. I've been working on performance optimizations off and on in between things this week. I did a lot of those 5e changes, and that took me away from the journal performance improvements that I mentioned last episode. Those are very close. Performance is nice and snappy now in my local environment, but I have a couple bugs to fix there before we roll out something that massively changes the behind the scenes inner workings of the journal. I want to make sure that's all super solid, but that should be out next week. Performance optimizations for the journal itself. Huge improvements there coming next week. In terms of other things that we're working on, we are continuing to make progress on reliability improvements and bug fixes. I know there's 3 or 4 things on my list that I've been kicking along as I jump from thing to thing. I've been talking with some folks on Discord about a few bug reports. Those are definitely on my list, and we should have some nice fixes out for those in the next couple weeks. Another enhancement that we're working on that's not necessarily listed here is a pain point with Alchemy Enhanced audio files. So Obojima, we saw earlier, has the dynamic audio for Alchemy Enhanced. The Alchemy Enhanced edition has the dynamic audio, the little triangle slider that you can use to change the mood of your audio on the fly. Those aren't really portable, I guess you could say right now. You can't really add them to a different scene that you create. You can't really remove them very reliably from an Alchemy Enhanced scene. So they're kind of just like you buy an Alchemy Enhanced version, the Alchemy Enhanced scene has that dynamic audio, but it's not really usable anywhere else. So that's something we've been meaning to fix or implement since the Alchemy Enhanced audio stuff went live forever ago, but we haven't gotten around to it yet. That's on our list for the short term to make that a reality. So I'm really excited to make that fix. For Alchemy Enhanced audio, you'll be able to pull those off of your scenes, add them to scenes that you create, all using the Alchemy Enhanced audio across different scenes. So it'll be cool. As mentioned, we're making a ton of progress on getting Sheet Builder out into the wild, so stay tuned for that to be in a public beta that anyone will be able to use. No ETA again, but it's getting close. In terms of content, we have the WildSea beta in progress right now. Thank you to everyone who is testing that and providing feedback. That's coming along very nicely. We have ingestion underway for Cyberpunk Augmented. Some additional modules for Household that'll be out next week. We have Wilder Feast and Flabbergasted in ingestion land, and other stuff going on there too. So in terms of V1 systems, Cyberpunk Augmented is coming out soonish. We're at least working on it now. And then we just have these few more systems left on that V1 game systems list. So exciting stuff. All right, that is it for this episode of the Devlog. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, head on down below, smash that like button, and subscribe for future updates. We have lots of cool stuff hitting the channel besides just my bi-weekly Devlog updates, so stay tuned for more there. Thanks for watching. Let's go play some games.